Onset and continuation of COVID 19 has destabilized the entire world. It has affected the status quo and emotional equilibrium of every living soul in the universe. Whether it is the most advanced countries or the third world, COVID 19 has proven to be a bad equalizer. Many have perished, leaving their near and dear ones in great distress. People have lost jobs, leaving them virtually penniless and struggling to eke out a miserable living. The long queues for food in US, the reverse migration to the routes by the workers in India, the struggle to get a hospital bed, the closure of schools, all these have created tremendous unspeakable stress on the people. As we know, the coping mechanism of individuals vary tremendously depending on their psychological makeup. While some seem to weather these shocks stoically and with determination and courage, many simply get emotionally drained and dejected. How do we counsel such people and bring them out of the morass and give them some hope is a key challenge for many experts. In this presentation, I would highlight some pointers in this regard. In doing so, my focus would be on those thousands of workers who lost their jobs overnight, particularly in India, and had to walk back on foot back to their villages. In many cases, workers traveled several hundred miles without any support from the local government. It is this group that needs proper and sensitive counseling by experts if we really want them to come back to the cities in search of jobs. To me, any good counseling is similar to a good interview. In an interview setting for a job, many things can go wrong as we end up selecting the wrong person. A successful interview should determine if there is a match between the individual and the job. Furthermore, a good interview process allows you to understand their behavior, values, motivations, and qualifications. Time and time again, we have seen people hired for sales jobs that don't like calling people, customer service people who can't look into your eyes and say hello. Then there are good employees promoted into management positions and have no clue how to lead and manage others. In a counseling situation, the counselor needs to have the counselee's complete and authentic background information. He should have gone through the information beforehand. This will help him to decide on the fitment for a particular role. It is critical to maintain complete confidentiality about the counseling process. The information shared by the counselee is a privileged one, and that is not to be shared with anyone not connected or concerned. The privacy is of utmost importance and is sacred. At this stage, I would like to stress the importance of a proper ambience for the counseling. It has to be a comfortable, quiet, and peaceful setting. In Africa, I was witness to such counseling happening under the tree with several onlookers watching the proceedings in amusement. This is, to say the least, criminal and defeats the very purpose of offering emotional support. Rapport building is the next step in counseling. Undergoing counseling is a difficult experience for most people as it often involves sharing deeply personal and distressing information. It takes time for a client or a worker in a counseling sitting to feel safe enough to open up, particularly when he or she has trust issues to begin with. Quality counseling means that the counselor does not make the mistake of jumping in too quickly, but instead builds rapport early on, taking adequate time to establish trust. As we know, almost everyone who has migrated has lost the trust. They feel orphaned, abandoned by the insensitive employees and the government. Counselor has to realize that counseling is not an encounter where one has to win at the other's cost. It is a collaborative process of offering help and facilitation. An important point to remember here is not to overcommit. I have often seen that when we overcommit, the expectations are raised to an unrealistic level. I recall an instance when a trainer, in his anxiety to motivate the trainees in a vocational learning training class, told them that they would be getting around 20,000 rupees upon completion of the training. This was not true, as the trainees were to get around half of that, around 10,000 rupees or so. When the trainees joined the company, they were in for a shock. That brings me to another point. In any counseling session, the counselor has to learn to mask his or her emotions. Too much of show of concern or too much of show of interest also raises expectations. Counselor has to be respectful and sensitive but not appear over friendly as this may send wrong signals. There are different styles of offering counseling. Some prefer to guide gently the course of discussion and encourage the counselee to explore actively the options, while some would prefer a more advisory and prescriptive approach. While both these approaches are good, my advice would be to follow one approach consistently and not to mix up. At this stage, let me emphasize the important role of preparation for counseling. Some might wonder why this is important, but my experience reveals that in many cases of counseling, the counselor is ill prepared and overconfident. In addition, he does not know the purpose of counseling and ends up asking the obvious. In fact, the purpose of good counseling is to go beyond and perhaps behind the obvious. In a typical interview for jobs, I have seen this happening repeatedly when the candidate has already provided all the basic information about his past job history, academic qualifications, etc. The interviewer ends up asking again all these questions. In addition, many see their mirror image in the candidate. Again, a very misleading kind of counseling. A counselor must have abundant empathy. Empathy is different from sympathy. The difference between the most commonly used meaning of these two terms is sympathy is feeling compassion, sorrow, or pity for the hardships that another person encounters, whereas empathy is putting yourself in shoes of another, which is why the noted psychologist Alfred Adler once noted that we learn in friendship to look with the eyes of another person, to listen with her ears, and to feel with her heart. This is the essence of empathy. Making the mistake of conveying a non empathetic attitude may result in a resentful, unmotivated counselee while also obscuring the counselor's ability to understand and appreciate and comprehend the situation correctly. Of course, counselors are human and thus may be emotionally affected by the client's problems and behaviors. Nonetheless, professional counselors need to develop an understanding of how their counselees feel and must be able to respect those feelings even when they appear to be making the counselor's job, shall I say, difficult. A counselor must be well groomed, well dressed, not like a bridegroom, be properly dressed, be punctual, and must possess what I call, and which is the title of this presentation, as chef qualities. SHEAF. What does this chef qualities mean? In that chef, the first word is S, represents sincerity. The next letter H represents helpfulness. E for enthusiasm. A for attentiveness. And F for friendliness. Sincerity is honesty of mind and freedom from hypocrisy. Helpfulness is the quality of giving or being ready to give help. Enthusiasm is exhibiting boundless energy and radiating that intensity of energy. Attentiveness is the action of assiduously attending to the comfort or wishes of others. Politeness or courtesy also implies attentiveness. Friendliness is the quality of exhibiting affection. In other words, in order for counseling to be successful, the counselor must consider it as a mission and not as a task given by the superior. During counseling, it is of utmost importance to keep distractions like telephone calls away. Phone has to be on silent mode. In these days of addictive WhatsApp and Facebook and Instagram, we must do away with these temptations and focus fully on the counselee and his problems and his motivations. A good counselor must have the requisite skill, knowledge, and confidence to conduct meaningfully the counseling interview. As someone rightly put it, they need the three C's. What are those three C's? The first one is competence, the second one is confidence, and the third, and perhaps more important, credibility. I would like to conclude that the logical conclusion of the counseling process is to determine the skill level and relevant previous experience of the candidate and arrange for a suitable placement. Counseling is not an end in itself, but only an input in the entire value chain. Therefore, the backward and the forward linkages in terms of identification of suitable candidates and their placement in the organizations need to be worked out well ahead of the actual counseling. A final word: not all candidates opt for jobs. Some may exhibit entrepreneurial streak. It is incumbent upon the counseling organization to advise them suitably on what kind of business may be suitable for them, help them in preparation of a business plan, and provide them adequate information about the funding sources such as the microfinance institutions and so on. Thank you very much.